He's the boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B.
Bless them all, bless them all.
Pardon me, boy, is that the Chattanooga Juju?
We will see a world that's free when we fly home.
World War II, from peace to war. The world changed overnight for residents of Tioga County who lived through that great and terrible period in history. They were just ordinary people from rural Pennsylvania, but together with thousands of others across the world, they helped shape the fate and the future of freedom.
It just seemed the proper thing to do then, to fight for your country back when I was young. Boy, I was working on the mines, and foreman come in and told me, he says he had a paper he'd like to have me sign. And I asked him what it was, and he told me it was a deferment to keep out of the service. I told him I didn't want it. I said I'd rather go.
Adams, along with 2 brothers and 3 stepbrothers, joined the growing numbers of young men from Tioga County who were heading overseas.
These young men all joined the National Guard back in the late years of the 30s because of the Depression. They joined the National Guard because they could make money. I know he went in as a cook, and then every summer for 2 weeks they went to camp. So they were on maneuvers. They were somewhere, I don't recall where, when they were federalized. And they cleaned Mansfield out because all the young men had joined the National Guard. And they were all 18, 19-year-olds. And it pretty well took care of Mansfield.
World War II altered the makeup of communities across the country. The workforce in factories, businesses, and hospitals changed dramatically.
Some of the nurses enlisted. In fact, my roommate at the nurses' home, she enlisted, and she tried to get me to go with her. And she had this appointment to go to Buffalo for an appointment to enlist. But I had written to Reynolds, my husband, and told him. And I got the letter back. Of course, I don't remember how long it took to get letters back and forth then. But I got the letter from him begging me not to go. So I gave it up. I did not go. But my girlfriend went. And so we were short of nurses.
Even the schools felt the war's impact as men and women rushed to join the war effort.
The schools lost a lot of the boys. And then some of the girls went into the Waves and the WACs, Women's Auxiliary Corps, you know, the WACs, you've heard of them. And we brought back a whole bunch of school teachers that had quit teaching. But I don't know, the schools, you just made the best you could. You know, you did the best you could with whatever you had.
Man said we better accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. No, do not mess with Mr. In Between.
During the war, you were not able to buy a toaster, a coffee pot, any small appliance, or a car, of course. You had to make do with what you had. You had to get it repaired or do without. They even went so far as to change in a washboard. Now, we had a washer, of course, but people did little hand washers and so forth. In washboards, usually, the scrub area is made of metal. During the war, the scrub area was made of glass. And I remember I had a very, very fancy bicycle that my mother had bought me just before the war started. And I had a speedometer on it, and I was very proud to get 3,200 miles on it, pedaling all over Sullivan and Rutland Township. And the nylon gear in the speedometer broke. It actually wore out, and I was not able to get another gear for that speedometer because they weren't available. And that was true whether you had farm machinery or whether you had toys. But I know it was particularly true in the house that there was more cobbled up toasters and things of that nature in the homes than we just accepted it. You can't get it, it's wartime, and we'll be able to replace it after the war.
December 7th, 1941 took America by surprise.
Sunday morning, we were at March Air Force Base. It was Sunday morning when that news came on. And a lot of the girls didn't even know where Pearl Harbor was. Never heard of it. And my brother-in-law was working on a radar board in Los Angeles, which was something new at that time. He called us and said, get right off the base that night. There were Jap subs off the coast.
The planes just appeared out of nowhere. And actually the Prime Minister of Japan had been talking peace right up until the planes took off. And so, you know, it was just, everybody seemed to think this was a terrible experience because here you had faith in this person or the people, and you weren't expecting that, and all of a sudden, kaboom, you know, they lowered the boom on you. Well, I guess you were damn mad, you know, to think that somebody would pull something like that. You were just ready to go fight. You know, it would really get you.
I was visiting my girlfriend's parents on December the 7th, 1941, and on their battery-operated radio came the news about Pearl Harbor. Well, I think most of us, I was 21 years old, about that age, said, hey, we're going to enlist.
And we were not actually prepared. When you look at these pictures of these old trucks that we had for the National Guard, you know, we got caught with our plants down. You realize that, see. And everything was down, and then Rosie the Riveter came on, you know, and during the war, I went up to Alfred University and took a welding course so and I passed the Navy welding course. I was going to do my job in the war effort, and if I couldn't teach, I'd quit teaching school, I'd go build warships or something, you know, welder or something. But so you were really up on edge.
That sudden plunge from peacetime to wartime not only affected the makeup of households, it changed many couples' carefully laid plans for the future. Marriage vows were often rushed over a 10-day furlough. Others had to wait.
We had planned to get married at that time, but I thought about it a little. I realized I didn't know anything about military life, and I didn't know anything about married life, and I didn't think I should take them both on at the same time, so we delayed our plans to get married until I got that first furlough, supposedly at the end of 4 months.
I had my blood test, and I had my dress, and I was all ready, but he never could come because he never got the furlough. So we waited until after the war, and that was about 3.5 years from the time he left before we could get married.
1st of May, I was commissioned. The 3rd of May, I got back to Pennsylvania by train. My girlfriend had everything all set up, and we were married the 3rd, the evening of the 3rd. And so that started my married life.